I'm Myra.
And I'm Tressa, and we're Fancy Marketing People with Union, a Wyoming-based telecommunications company. Yes, Wyoming really does exist, and we proudly serve the Rocky Mountain region.
On this podcast, we will feature businesses, organizations, nonprofits, and influential people from Utah, Colorado, and Wyoming.
Our mission is to highlight those that inspire their communities daily.
We believe this makes us truly authentic because a journey of 1,000 miles always begins with a single step.
Look at us, Myra, smiling away today.
I don't know if I can catch
Haven't even spoken, and you're like laughing.
No, I don't know. I'm happy. I'm happy this time. So
thank God.
I'm in better spirits.
Good.
I feel like people were more appalled last week of my sadness, just like the flat line, like I feel like poor old Todd didn't know what to do. I feel like it threw him just for a loop. And for those out there, Todd is one of our coworkers, and I was sad per the last podcast. And he did not know how to handle me not being just ridiculous and funny. So
yeah, I think he did have a heart. He's like, maybe Myra needs a nap.
Yeah, he was not okay. He's like, I think he was trying to solicit cookies for me or something. I don't know. I said a 2-week European vacation would maybe do the trick,
Well, we're so used to you being fun and quirky and wild.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens. You had every right to feel sadness with everything that was going on, but yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because, I don't know. Everybody was like, wow, she's sad. But just as much as I am fun, I am also very sad when I'm sad. So I guess it is what it is.
Goes both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Well, but it's all good now. I'm all good now.
Yeah. Things are getting back to normal.
Yeah, things are back to normal. Mm-hmm. There's just a lot of trauma around it. There'll be a lot of healing to come. Mm-hmm. And what's really cool, actually, is BetterHelp is offering a free 3 months to all residents of Western North Carolina. And I thought that was really neat, of all the ways to help out people. BetterHelp, for those that aren't familiar with the platform, is a mental health platform where you can get connected virtually with therapists or whatever resource that you may need. And they're offering all those services for free, which is really cool.
That is really cool. That's very cool.
Yeah. It's the brands that do things, and what they're trying to do and how they're helping. So
yeah, that makes a huge difference. I heard Eric Church, I don't know if he just released the song or if it was a song that was released, and he's donating all of the royalties or any money that particular track makes to North Carolina. And then isn't Luke Combs doing something too?
Yeah. So the thing with Eric, I really want to know how that works because all of the money forever.
I think.
Any revenue that song generates will go to the residents of Western North Carolina in some format. So it has to be connected to organization. I don't know how.
Yeah.
But that's really cool for him to do that. But what Eric Church and Luke Combs just did was announce a concert. Okay. And so tickets go live at Thursday at 10 a.m. I have an alarm set. But the concert will be in 2 weeks.
You're getting tickets.
I am. They'll be in 2 weeks. But I want to go because I've never seen Luke Combs live. But I think it's really cool to be in that setting. And they're doing it at Bank of America Stadium. So it'll be a stadium concert. It won't be just in like a normal venue. And Billy Strings will be a part of it. But James Taylor. And so I'm like, ooh, yeah, So I have an alarm set.
Is Joan going?
She wants to go. And
I'm like, you got to take your mom.
Heck no, she's watching with kids. Like, she's over here like plotting and planning to go to this concert. And I said, I don't know how to tell you this.
Think so, Grandma.
Yeah. I'm like, pipe it down, woman. I'm like, I don't know how else to deliver the news to you, but on that evening, you will be sitting at home with my children. And so, she laughed and she's like, well, wait a minute. But I don't know. Bank of America is very weird with how the parking is in Charlotte. And so you have to walk a really, really long distance just to get to the venue. It's not easy. And so even Jeff was like, I'd love to go, but where are we walking? They don't walk well.
Right.
Can we take him? The concert would be over. And she'd be
show up at 2:00 for a 7:00 show.
Yeah. But they're doing it fast. I mean, it's the 26th of October. And all the proceeds will go to Western North Carolina. So I would like to try to get tickets. It will be through Ticketmaster. And so who knows what this experience will be like. But I don't know. And people are saying, they're probably going to charge something outrageous. But I feel like that would be very off-brand to do a benefit concert and then charge like Taylor Swift era tickets.
Yeah.
You know what
I
mean?
don't even know what Taylor Swift costs, but
something. It's all ridiculous. And concerts right now are ridiculous in general.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but it could be really cool to go, and I'd like to go. So tune in next time. Maybe I'll go.
Yeah, we'll find out next time.
Listenerland. But
what's the most you've ever paid for a concert ticket?
Me?
Yeah,
I paid $450. $450. But I also saw multiple people in the same day.
Okay, like a festival.
A festival, yeah.
Okay, that's a little different then.
Yeah. What's the most you've paid?
I think it was for a Pink concert, and it was like $270, $280, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. I don't know.
Let's go back to $17 a ticket.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's not going to go. Yeah. But that's,
Well, it's just weird. I don't know. I mean, I think about it because now I'm not just thinking about myself. And I think about like, okay, well, does my husband want to go? Or would Nola want to go to that concert? And I don't mind. I love to take her and she likes music. So when I start adding all these people to it, I'm like, ugh. When it's just me, it's like, sure, I'll pay $500. But when it comes out $1,500, you're like, oh, that's a little. You sound great much on iTunes, baby. Yeah. I'll just plug in my AirPods.
And imagine the concert.
Yeah, actually. Do you remember when we were at CES? And CES is, for those that don't know, it's like a technology type conference where they show all the new gadgets that are coming out. And I mean, it's beyond gadgets. It's like flipping submarines that are like, what? AI
Consumer
powered
electronics.
Yeah,
it's anything and everything.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But we were at the LG booth and they had those really big speakers that did like the, not surround sound, but the immersive sound.
Yep.
Blake bought me one. Because,
really?
Oh, yeah, he did. Because I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And the whole energy of that space, because they had these speakers on the tables. And so you walk in and then you hear all this immersive sound around you. And it's like, whoa. So, yeah, I'll just do that at my house. We'll just
there you go.
I got this really bougie speaker.
Yeah.
And I'll just be immersed in my pretend concerts, at my house.
There's something to be said about the energy of being in a venue and having live music and the whole thing. But
yeah. So, anyways, maybe.
Well,
we'll see.
Keep us posted. We'll ask next time.
Yeah.
Be the hot topic for the next podcast.
Yeah, I'll either be really happy or really mad at Ticketmaster. So it could make
we'll
for
find
a great
out.
episode. Yeah.
Don't mess up, Ticketmaster.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well,
we ready to bring our guest on today?
Yeah. So today's guest is AmySouza. She is the Center Manager of the Rock Springs Department of Workforce Services. Hey, Amy.
Hey, Amy.
Hello. Good afternoon, ladies. How are we doing today?
We are going and doing
great.
I'm looking into all this concert talk, and I'm excited for you.
Yeah, you ready to go? You coming down?
Yeah.
Head on down to Charlotte.
I just got back from one. I think I'm done with concerts and driving for a little bit.
Yeah.
Who'd you see?
I went and saw Flogging Molly in Arizona.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's fun. Oh, that's
Mhm.
cool.
Cool.
That is
Very
cool.
cool. Well, Amy, we're so glad that you could join us today. Do you want to just kind of tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to manage Workforce Service Center?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I was actually born and raised in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon. And I started my journey with case management in the school district in my hometown. I spent probably about 7 to 8 years working with vulnerable youth, so homeless and foster care children. And then more recently, I worked a lot with students that have dropped out of high school and are trying to find a different avenue to get their GED or their high set. The last 5 years, I've worked in Rock Springs at the Workforce Center. 4 of those, I was a youth case manager. So I started up working with adult education. We started up a youth program that incentivizes these kiddos to go to school. And then in the last year and a half or so, I was promoted, and I just oversee the center and the team.
Wow, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
So you've always kind of wanted to be in a career, from what you're telling me, where you can really make an impact.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have a passion for people that just need someone to walk through life with them, whether it's it's a kiddo that needs some support, or a team that I can help lead and help them get their goals done. Yeah, I have a passion for people.
That's great. I love that.
I love that. Yeah, I love the way you said for people that need someone to help walk through life with them.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. It's beautiful. I've never really heard someone put it that way, and I think that really stands out, and it stands out for what you're trying to accomplish through the center. And I think that's great. So along those lines, what are some of the programs that you have been a part of or are proud to be a part of?
In Wyoming, we get to offer so much through our office that I know that most people do not realize the resources that we actually have. When you go to a workforce center, which we have 18 workforce centers across the state of Wyoming, and all of them have these programs, and there's the POWER program that we work with. We can help, and that's the Cash Assistance TANF program. So we partner with Department of Family Workforce Services. And our part in that program is to work with the people receiving the TANF grant, helping get them work ready, right? So we start where they're at, and then hopefully, but they can get off of POWER quickly and be in a self-sufficient job position. And then we also have our WIOA program, which is our Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act program. And this has got federal funding that can upskill people that qualify for the program. We can pay for upskilling, like CDLs, CNAs. We can help apprenticeship programs, lineship apprenticeship, plan operations, so many things. We can, with that program, WIOA, we can train for up to 2 years. We can get people degrees or certifications. And we have programs that fund or that support mock interviews for people that need help. We have programs that's rapid response programs. We just had Blackview coal lay off a bunch of people just here recently, and we were able to hold 2 rapid response services and get a hold of those dislocated workers, help them get their unemployment set up. Some of them are in training. Some of them they utilize other avenues. We can partner with Department of Vocational Rehabilitation. There's so many things we can offer people that live in Wyoming that need some support. And it's all geared toward helping people find work.
That's amazing. So how do you assess the needs? How, obviously you're in that community, so you knew about Black Butte, right? Or do they reach out to you before they do a major layoff like this and say, hey, how do we partner with you? What does that relationship look like?
So we have, between myself, my case managers, and my business representatives really try to tether amazing relationships with the local community, local businesses. So we support them by posting jobs, and they, when we see a job and we've got a participant or someone we're helping, we can kind of pair them up. And through those relationships, we also have made sure they know, if there's a layoff, especially in something as high profile, but as the mind, but as small as anything, we can help get these people connected with the needs that they might have. We also work closely with Western Wyoming Community College, right? They know about us and our program, so if they have someone that comes in who they're like, they may qualify for not just this Pell Grant, but maybe this program as well, they send them our way. And that's the same with Family Resource Center. You know, it's really all about letting people know that you're a resource there and connecting with other resources and other businesses to make sure that if someone falls, that we can be there to catch them.
Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting. Like, we've had some other organizations like Wyoming 211 and different organizations like that on, and United Way, and it's the more that I've learned, the more I understand how closely you guys can interact with each other, right? And you guys really have a network where one organization can talk to another if the fit isn't quite right for them. And I really love that, how you guys are networking together to really help the community.
I really love I hate the idea of stay in your lane when it comes to resources for people. I really like the idea that we partner our services, right? If someone is not quite ready for a job yet, but because they have some barriers, maybe there's a diagnosis, a mental health diagnosis or a physical one, they can work with Department of Voc Rehab, and they work with them, and as soon as they're ready to start working, then they can pull us in, and they can say, okay, they're ready to go to work, and here's what they're thinking they need, and we help the resume, we help the upskilling. And so it's really beautiful when people take those lane sensors like you have on your car, when you take the lane sensors off and you start just communicating and maybe even bumping a little bit and be like, oh, I didn't even know this one was here.
Yeah.
Because my funding can't cover everything. Wyoming is a small state in population, so it's not like we're getting the top funding for anything. You know what I mean? So it works to depend on each other and help each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what is the process? I know you've talked some of it, but if I was to come in today and my situation was to change, what would the process be like, if they're coming to the center?
Yeah. Well, when someone walks in, the first thing we do is, make sure we ask if they've served. Because veterans do have, vet preference. You would sign in, and my wonderful front desk lady, Corrine, would say, hey, what can we do for you today? And it would really depend. You could say, I just got laid off. I need to file for unemployment, and I need to think about my next steps. So we get you on the phone to unemployment, support that piece right there. And then when you come out, we would support helping you get everything set up on the computer for unemployment. Then discuss with one of the people in the resource room, and let's say you're like, man, my business closed down. I wasn't making a lot of money, but I need to find something really fast. I need to do something, but I don't have any skills or certifications. I'm really interested in the medical sector, but I don't know what I can do there. Well, then they'd say, you know what? My gosh, we have some certification programs that are short term, like CNA and phlebotomy. Let's get you with a caseworker to see if you're eligible for a program that can help fund this certification process. Then, when you're done with the certification process, you're going to work with that case manager to do your resume. Then we're going to partner with the leaders in the medical industry that we know and say, guess what? I have a brand new CNA. It's also a phlebotomist. They lost their job. They have a family, they're a family of 3 or whatever, and she is ready to go to work, he or she, and that's what we do. Sometimes it's little pieces of that long story. Sometimes I had a person that was laid off from Halliburton. He had worked there for 20 plus years. He got laid off. He needed to do something, and I talked to him. I said, well, what would you, if you could do anything, what could you do? And he said, I would love to be a middle school math teacher. I'd love to be a middle school math teacher. And I already got my associate's done. I just need to finish my bachelor's. And that's what we did. I enrolled him into my program. I worked with him for 2.5 years. And he just got done and he's looking for positions as a middle school math teacher.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So that is so cool.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites.
That's incredible.
So with those programs where you can help them get a degree or certification, is that funded or partially funded, or what does that look like, or does it depend?
Well, it's funded. It's completely funded.
Okay.
So it's a federal grant that we get from the federal government. So every state gets WIOA money. And we have different pots we can pull from. Let's say you were laid off like my Halliburton guy. Well, you'd be considered a dislocated worker, so I'd pull from that funding. And I could take a certain amount of money out and put it dedicated towards your upskilling and supportive need services as they arise. You know, if you need tires to get to and from school, I also can use some of that funding for things like that.
Oh, wow.
If let's say you're in power, right? You're getting that food and cash assistance, you're in power, and you really want to go to school and get some certifications. Well, you can qualify as an adult, and I'd pull out of that pot. If you're a youth that has left traditional school, I do hate the term dropout, but if you've left traditional school and you're looking to get your equivalency in a different way, well, I have lots of money for out-of-school youth, right? And I can spend money to help get you your certification. We can go into post-secondary, we can go into apprenticeships. There's so much we can offer.
So you're in Rock Springs or Sweetwater County, and you mentioned there's multiple locations across the state. So does every county have a facility like yours?
I do believe so. I'm trying to think. I mean, there's 18 centers from Evanston to Gillette, Cody, Worland, Cheyenne, of course, Sheridan. I mean, every bigger city, and even really small one like Rollins has a center, you know, so you don't have to travel too far to get to one of our one stops.
Okay.
That's really interesting, because I not trying to bring up the hurricane, but a lot of people, I'm seeing resources that I've not really ever thought people I knew needed, or like I mentioned on the last one about 211. Well, like for this situation, like my brother was displaced from his job because of the hurricane. Like then I took the building out. It doesn't exist. Right. And, so he's been able to sign up through some of the federal outlets, but there's nothing immediate, like there's nothing, the company's not paying him, and I don't know how that's okay, but yeah, that's a different conversation. But, but I'm seeing that. But some of the other things that I'm seeing that I didn't think about is those who are self-employed, who didn't own like a business storefront, like on the, you know what I'm saying? Like they worked out of their home and they made craft or whatever, and they lost power and they were displaced and the community doesn't exist, so no one's buying their items, Would someone like that qualify, where they're self-employed and then something like this happened to them? Because that's the number one thing I saw on social media is from people that I know was, how do they get help? They're asking for help and they were looking for services, so it's just top of mind. What would that look like if someone's in that situation?
Absolutely. And I'm so sorry about your brother. That is so life altering. I can't even imagine. So my thoughts and prayers will go out to your family. And with COVID too, we saw some of this. A lot of where these small businesses, COVID hit the middle class the most.
Yeah.
A lot of these small business owners didn't have places to turn. And the answer is yes. If all of a sudden you were a warehouse worker and the warehouse that you were working in is no longer standing because of a hurricane, you would be a dislocated worker. It's not like you're going to go back into that industry, right? So under the federal guidelines of WIOA, people like that would absolutely qualify for this dislocated worker program, because it's actually under the natural disaster. There's a piece of that goes into that as well. COVID was another way that we could kind of use that, but this would definitely, people that are displaced and can't go back to the things that they did before, there is federal money that can help you upskill. If you're like, I can't go back to that because all of a sudden we have to move to a whole different place that has a different economic buildup. There's different sectors that I'm not even used to. Absolutely. There's funding that can help.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I love the story you shared about our Halliburton guy. Yes.
Yeah.
Go, Mr. Math Teacher. But I love hearing success stories. Do you have any others that you can share that made a significant change in an individual's life or even in a business that you might have worked with?
I could tell so many stories.
Okay, I love it. Let's hear it.
Yeah. Let's see. I've worked with a lot of youth. Like I said, that was the majority. I mean, until I got this position, I was the one that just worked with vulnerable youth. I've had students that are on house arrest, right? I had one really, really sassy student that was on house arrest. His parents had left, and I was kind of like an advocate for his education stuff because there was no one else to do it. I met him. He was on house arrest, had an ankle monitor. By the time that I was done working with him, he had gotten a farm, gotten a job on like a hazelnut farm. He got his ankle bracelet off. He stopped causing trouble, was on a pathway to success and on track to graduate from high school, which was just a miracle in itself. I've worked with a single mom of 4 boys who was a dedicated person that worked in the medical field. Because of certain situations that arose, she had to become the main caregiver and breadwinner for her 4 boys. And I met her right before she got into her RNA program, her nursing program, and last May she graduated with honors and she got an amazing position as a nurse. And I won't tell you the ones that make me cry because there are some that because you run across some sad situations.
Yeah.
I will say that I love seeing the boost in advocacy for mental health in Wyoming.
Yeah.
That's something I've noticed a great deal with, especially the youth that I work with. That's something that I hope that we just see the biggest boom in mental health support for these kiddos that are dealing with all of the things they're dealing with. I know Wyoming wants to do so much better. It's just so hard. It is so hard. And there's a very big population that need that support. So,
yeah, absolutely. Speaking of situations that make you sad, right, or makes you have emotion around it, how do you handle that? I mean, the job that you're in is an emotional position, right? You're dealing with people who are struggling and having times in their life that they're unsure, right? So how do you handle that and not take that on or take that home?
It's really, really, really hard. You have to really train yourself, I think. And even now, there's certain ones that that were success stories but make me sad. But when I work with youth, especially, I used to actually schedule time in my week to just grieve the cases that I had to grieve. So and usually when you're dealing with vulnerable youth, Friday is not the day to do that because right before the weekend, the ones that are homeless or that need food or need something, that's when they come Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
But like on a Tuesday or something, I might say, okay, I'm going to schedule 45 minutes this week because I just found out that one of my favorite participants, had a hard time, or I don't even know the right word to use anymore, but that maybe took their own life, right?
Yeah.
And that's a hard one you have to grieve.
Yep.
Or you meet an 8-year-old who thinks that dumpster diving is digging for treasure. I mean, so I would schedule it into my day so I'd always have time to grieve if I needed to. And I think that's really important. I think it's if you're dealing with a hard population and schedule time to grieve, and then there's sometimes you get really frustrated because you're like, I want the best for you so much. And you're not wanting the best right now for you. And then also self-care, counseling is a very, very big component when you're dealing with difficult populations, because you can take that stuff on yourself. But when you're dealing with 40 teenagers and 20 of them don't have good home lives, 10 of them have no home, you want to just take all of them with you, right? You're like, just I'll feed you, I'll take care of you, and it's really hard to balance and try to not let that guilt get inside of you, or, you don't want to get jaded either. So I always think counseling is wonderful when you're in a position dealing with vulnerable youth or vulnerable people and populations.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that you talked about self-care. That's so important. It's important for anyone, right? To make sure they do that. But yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit of some of the biggest challenges that you're facing right now.
Biggest challenges that we're facing. There's a lot of people that need help right now. That is a challenge. Federal funding can only go so far. One of my biggest challenges in Rock Springs specifically, I have so many cases, and we only have so many case managers. Finding jobs, finding people, the right people for the right job is also a challenge sometimes. Like I said, during COVID, it was so good. I do want to say that during COVID, Wyoming was the only state that kept the doors open for the unemployment and for the offices. It's challenging because you become part of these people's everyday life, right? When people are filing for unemployment or needing help. But during COVID, what we did see was a lot of people had a good amount of money coming in because we were able to take care of the needs of the population. But sometimes that dip when you haven't worked for 2.5, 3 years, that's hard, that's really hard. Another thing that we're seeing a lot of is people that retired who thought they were going to be okay are having to go back into the workforce. Oh, wow. And that's a high number. And that one's challenging. We have a workshop coming up in my office. It's called Tips for Older Job Seekers. And it's just a way to help them kind of make sure that there's nothing happening when they're applying for jobs, right? So that they have a good chance at getting one, because those numbers are very high. I think across the nation with inflation and the way that things are, people who thought they were going to be good to retire are finding out they can't.
Yeah.
They can't live off of it.
That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, that's a reality that I don't think people think about if it's not in their sphere, but it is can you? Am I froze? Am I froze?
She did.
Yeah.
Here she's back.
Yay.
Oh, there she is.
It's all
the joys of technology.
The joys of technology and my internet. But yeah, I was just going to ask, do you find it challenging to find people jobs where there aren't as many businesses in Wyoming and some of the workforce could be limited? Do you feel like people have to switch industries to find employment? I'm just curious where, the population's smaller, workforces are smaller. If you, I don't know how many marketing jobs there are in Wyoming, you know what I mean? And so I'm just curious, if that is a challenge.
Wyoming is so unique in that it's really driven by different sectors and different areas, right? So like in Sweetwater County, it's mining, gas and oil, and manufacturing, right? And I guess hospitality a little bit. But you have these little pockets. Jacksonville is going to be way more about hospitality, right? Evanston's going to be a little bit way more focused on manufacturing. So it's hard in the sense that when you're in Wyoming and let's say you're living in Sweetwater County, well, if you want to have a good paying job, we want to look at the most popular sectors. So it's not going to have the diverse workforce that a big city like Portland, Oregon would, or anywhere else. But I will say, if you can get into the right sector, you can make a decent living. So it can be challenging. It's really hard with youth because what's the one thing we hear from youth when they live in Wyoming? I just want to get out of Wyoming. I just want to go do something where there's people. That can be kind of a challenge, and there's lots of programs that, Wyoming Grown is a program where they try and just, if you've moved away, they reach out and say, hey, you went to school, you've got this degree, now come back, come home to Wyoming and let's grow this here. And there's a lot of good things happening with the Workforce Development Council trying to reach and figure out how do we break that from them wanting to leave, or at least getting them back, so we can grow these different sectors. We found great ways to really appeal to the employers and the people seeking jobs. We just had a really wonderful job fair in the White Mountain Mall, where we had, I think, 20-something employers show up. They did, probably a couple hundred on-the-spot interviews, gathered hundreds of resumes, and we were able to really facilitate a place where they could come in and find some good workers. And they were really, really pleased with it. And our job fairs are getting bigger and bigger as we do them, so that's good. I really think it's about being an active part of the community and just helping that one person find that job.
Yeah.
And having a place that our whole job is to make sure that that employer finds a good employee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One person at a time, one step at a time, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we're getting to the end of our time together today, Amy. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you really want to make sure is part of the message that we get out to the public?
I think the biggest message is just know that if you're struggling in Wyoming, there is a workforce center that you can go to, that if you can't find answers there, they're going to help you find answers. Mm-hmm. I don't think that there's any reason that someone in rural Wyoming should be left out and not realize that there's places to go to get help. If you want to work, I promise Workforce Services will help you find a job, and if you need help with complicated unemployment stuff, if you need support because you're a single mom and all of a sudden you're taking care of your kids, if you just got out of a bad situation and you're trying to change the direction in your life, these are all things that we do every single day. So I would say anybody in Wyoming, do not forget that there are so many resources, and we are a free place to come in. Every one stop American Job Center is free.
That's wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get your website and any information and make sure it's in the show notes as well, so they'll have access to that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, before we go, Amy, we just want to ask, how do you stay authentic?
Well, how do I stay? Well, that's one of my highest values is authenticity. I just remind myself who I am, that I am amazing and charming and wonderful. I have great glasses and a big personality, and I stay true to it and remind myself, this is the way God made you, and it's fantastic.
I love it.
That.
Yeah.
And I do love your glasses.
Yep.
I might let you know. I might hit you up.
Okay. She might give us the secret where she got those.
Awesome. Well, until next time.
Stay authentic.